Welcome to the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast with Dan and Dawna Wilson. We are the only flim-flam-free broadcast in Kootenai County discussing our elected and appointed political officials, leaders, and influencers. Join in on the conversation with your questions and comments. You can type those right into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, or X. And if you're joining us live, be sure to take just a few seconds and share this live stream to your page or profile. And then also subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Idaho Sheriff, to rewatch the program. And then also for our Liberty Without Compromise podcast, you can listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows. And now, here's your host, Dan Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. All my friends in the region and right here in Kootenai County, beyond and across the Fruited Plains. We have a lot to go over tonight. I hope we can get it in under an hour, but I'm not too confident that we're going to.
You're just wasting time saying I don't know if we have time.
Well, you'd have to
keep it going.
Kind of give an introduction. You don't want me talking about the weather. It snowed another foot, and I've yet to put the plow on the side by side.
I know, you're.
I got a four-wheel drive. I don't care.
Yeah.
But our neighbors, they've been keeping the road clear. So thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah. Why do we continue this fight? Well, I ran for sheriff in 2024. I was not successful, and there was a lot to uncover. There was not enough days and months in the year to go after those that have been doing wrong, those that are corrupt, those that are dishonest. And so even though I was not successful in my bid for sheriff, Dawna and I are continuing our quest since the Coeur d'Alene Press, the Spokesman Review, Legacy Media, and a lot of the local so-called conservative alternative media refuses to do any of the investigation that we have found ourselves in the middle of. So we have a lot of unfinished business, not only with elected officials right here in Kootenai County, many of them that we have talked about over and over, Bob Norris and DC Matari, both those snakes that came from out of the area to take over politics right here in Kootenai County. But we also talk about those that are on the sidelines, those people like Mike P2. Oh, wait, we got to talk about him a little bit later.
He's on the curb.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to continue the fight because Liberty Without Compromise, which was my motto for the entire campaign, is still true today. The message that I bring to people, whether you are here locally or wherever you are, the principles of liberty without compromise do not change, and we will continue to spread that message of liberty to encourage you to embrace the liberty that your fathers gave to you right here and now. So join us as we are talking about most things Kootenai County, but sometimes we sprinkle in a little bit of national news as well.
We do, because it has an effect on what's going on here locally, and so we should be aware.
We want to put in a plug for our podcast, Liberty Without Compromise, wherever you get your podcasts at iHeart, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube. Look for the latest first 9 episodes of the Liberty Without Compromise podcast, Power Player Pastors in Kootenai County. You will not want to miss those. They're full of lots of juicy information about what's going on in our churches right here in Kootenai County.
If you're just joining us, remember that you can drop your comments and questions into the comment section, and we'll put them up onto the screen to share with others, and sometimes incorporate them into the program if it's a question that fits the topic of discussion.
Now, we started this trend at the beginning of our 30-plus episodes during the campaign. We did 30-plus one-hour episodes, sometimes more than 1 hour, while I was running for sheriff, so that the people in Kootenai County who were not able to come to my town halls or my live events were able to ask the questions. And yes, I still do not shy away from your questions. We're even going to talk about one that I got on Twitter or X that I haven't told you about yet.
Oh.
However, last week, the rumor mill was a turning. My sources inside the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office informed me that it looks like Under Sheriff Brett Nelson was on his way out. And so I wanted to verify. Mm-hmm. And I put in a public records request. I believe that is our slide number 1, if you have not already put that up there on the screen. But I put in a request to the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, and I asked, is Sheriff Norris currently or pending to replace Under Sheriff Nelson within the next 6 months or 12 months? Number 2, if the answer is yes, what current actions have been taken to recruit Under Sheriff Nelson's replacement? Number 3, has Under Sheriff Nelson signaled or submitted his resignation with Kootenai County Sheriff's Office? And number 4, if Under Sheriff Nelson has submitted his resignation, please provide a copy of this resignation. And so, a few short days later, I received my official public records request response. And would you know, here's what it says. Unable to respond for one or more of the following reasons. Record not known to exist. So, we still don't have an exact answer. But it is one that I want you to keep on the radar if you are right here in Kootenai County, because it does matter. If Brett Nelson leaves within the next year, that signals some significant issues that we've been telling you about going on inside the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. So stay tuned and stay sharp.
Would you say with anybody that your sitting sheriff has a relationship with, the one with that undersheriff had better be good?
It has to be, because the undersheriff is the person, the man that manages the day-to-day operations of the sheriff's office. So as we're going to show you in a little while, there's a lot of undersheriff signatures where the sheriff could be signing, but yet the undersheriff is signing. And I think you and I both know why the undersheriff signs as many documents as he does, because Bob's been, as he said later or earlier this week, I think 70 town hall coffee, donuts with your sheriff events. So he doesn't have time to do paperwork.
70 since when?
Well, since he took, his throne. I mean, his reign of office.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that we're going to, what do you think? Do the social media
this week in social media.
Yeah. Okay.
Am I done talking about the undersheriff already?
We'll talk about more than the undersheriff.
I wonder if people understand with how much bulking they do about how qualified the sheriff needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
If they understand that it's the undersheriff running the day-to-day operations, which I know you just addressed, but that could be a catastrophic problem if you have those two guys not getting along or not seeing eye to eye or whatever the deal is.
Well, we have a video that we showed last year at a town hall, or I keep saying town hall. It's the Board of County Commissioners budget meeting. Look at the body language of Undersheriff Brett Nelson every time he hears Norris speak. And yes, when your undersheriff is more qualified, more, I would say, educated than the sheriff, that can be a problem unless you have a sheriff that is high speed and surrounds himself by high-speed men and women to help him assist do the job.
Or giving respect to whom respect is due.
But we're going to be watching this.
On that one too.
We're going to be watching this.
Yep. So this week in social media, I've got a couple things to put up on the screen to share with you guys and get Dan's reaction. So here's the first one.
No patience for right now. The people that are saying, oh, it's just 0.001% of the budget. It's a negligible amount of money when it comes to the grand scheme of our tax dollars. The things that they are uncovering right now that we are actively spending money on as taxpayers are ridiculous. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to die on that hill. I promise you. You don't have to ascribe to the taxation for taxation's sake and spending for spending's sake. You don't have to do it. We should not be spending money on researching bubble wrap and stress. We should not be spending money to fund musicals overseas. And I don't hate musicals. I love a good musical. Did you get to see the musical? I didn't. Listen, if a few cents comes out of my tax dollars and I get a ticket to Guys and Dolls when they come through town, we can have that conversation, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about putting on shows in other countries. Listen, I get the argument that this is pennies on the dollar type stuff, but it's still important stuff. We shouldn't be spending the money. And if you take that position, I would ask you this. Do you want to talk about the big stuff? Do you want to talk about Social Security? Do you want to talk about Medicare? Do you want to talk about the military? We can talk about those things. Those are the big ones. But just throwing your hands up and shouting when they start talking about looking into spending, like no spending can be discussed. You freak out the moment that happens. You don't want us to audit any government spending. But individuals should be audited if they receive $600 from PayPal in a year. Like, come on. That doesn't make you look credible.
he's exactly right. $600. If you don't report it, you get an audit, you get fined, penalized. Our forefathers would have burned these potentates, these administrators at the stake 250 years ago. We as Americans have no idea. The average guy has no idea as to how bad it really is. And this is something that is not partisan. It should not be Republican versus Democrat. In fact, these bad actors have been in it together. The more that comes out, the more you find that it's part of the Republicans. In fact, it's a majority of Republicans and Democrats both. I'm not even going to say, it's equal. And when you see them passing these outrageous budgets and billions and billions and billions of dollars, and you keep thinking, where do they come up with this money? How big is the United States tax base? Well, I think we're going to find out that the CIA is running this country. The CIA is using USAID to front its operations all over the world. $50 million were sent to buy condoms in Palestine, in Africa, not Palestine, next to Israel. Maybe it's Gaza. I forget. It's one of those two names, but it's a name that you would recognize. $50 million. The minute I saw that, I knew that that's money laundering. Mm-hmm. So, average American, you better start waking up to how far gone things are, and you better start working together and drop a lot of the crap that's been dividing us, because the real enemy is our slave masters who have been stealing our treasure for decades.
Now, this makes me think, too, shouldn't we have a concern locally if we know we're seeing now a peek under the covers that this is I think we've suspected it, but suspecting it and seeing the clear evidence of it really hits home, and then it makes you wonder, could any of this be going on locally on a smaller scale?
No, it never happened locally. Never.
Don't worry.
Look at Kootenai County. The sheriff's budget went from, 43 million to 50 million in 1 year?
Right.
And for a solid year, I said over and over again that we have to conduct a forensic audit. Look, from what I understand right now, I don't understand the legality of it. I don't know how it works. I'm only discussing what I have read online. And that is that Elon Musk has been, in essence, doing an audit of all these books. Same thing needs to be taking place right here. And don't buy that, the county does a general audit every couple of years. You have to dig in to the cellular level to find out what is being spent by who for what reasons. Because if they do it at a national level, you can bet damn certain that they're doing it right here locally in our state. They're bragging about how much. There was some senator, I think today, or a representative that said, that they've given Idahoans in the past 5 years equivalent to $2,000 per every man, woman, and child. Really? If you're in Idaho right now, can you tell me whether or not you've seen $2,000 come back to you for every person in your household? And I'm one of these guys that I'm sick and tired of the income tax in this state. 6%. I want to know, I own a couple businesses, so my income's a little bit higher than the average hourly worker. But why should I pay more in my income tax than somebody that makes what they consider to be the low end? Do I use the infrastructure that much more than those that are paying less? It's the same thing with the property taxes. We're paying how much money every year for our public schools that are failing. And I'm sorry if you're pro public school, you know what? We'll agree to disagree on this. But I have 5 children. They were all homeschooled, and I paid for their education, all of them. And currently I have one left. I'm paying thousands of dollars a year. I'm not getting any tax credit for that.
Right.
But yet I have to still pay for it. People that are retired have to still pay for these failing schools. And that's a reflection of how bad government is running things.
All right, we're going to take this in a different direction. I know we got a whole lot left in this program. Reminder to those of you just joining us, you can get in on the conversation by putting your questions and comments into the comment section on whichever platform you're watching. And now we have this.
President, this next executive order will criminalize skinny jeans for all youth pastors everywhere in the universe. It says, quote, skinny jeans are not hip or fire or even rad, and they just simply look dumb.
All right, that was just a special treat for you.
I agree.
Yeah, you've gotten in trouble for talking about the pastors and their
Well, I think it's
skinny
Melanie
jeans.
Herman, whose husband, Todd Herman,
Trouble.
national talk show sit-in sub for Rush Limbaugh when he was still alive. And she is really upset. And Eric Zimmerman, you know Eric Zimmerman? Yeah. Really offended that I was calling some pastors that I saw in a church or that I saw in a coffee shop from a local church in Spokane, soy boys wearing skinny jeans. So, yeah, sorry, Eric. I don't think even you could wear skinny jeans, man. So
I'll leave those out. Dawn McKay submitted a comment. She said, homeschooling mom of 3. I pray Trump gives homeschooling parents a tax credit.
yeah, you know, and tax credits are an interesting discussion because, you know, as I mature in my understanding of true liberty, look, anytime the government gives you money that you didn't pay in, earned income credits, you know, if you have 10 kids and you get $10,000, I'm making it up, that's redistribution of the wealth. So, yeah, I think that it should be proportionate. There should be tax credits, but if you did not pay taxes, you shouldn't be getting money back. But yeah, I think that I'm all for tax cuts and tax credits when rightfully done, not redistribution of wealth.
One more on this week in social media. I want you to think of this through this lens when you're listening to this guy. But today we were promoting the Liberty Without Compromise live stream, and somebody said, "Not this crap again."
Oh,
okay, just keep that in mind. We got a little more on that coming up, but listen to this.
President Trump, everything he does, you are going to filter for why it's evil at your own cost. No matter how much information, he hates all women. Half of his cabinet is women. He's against freedom for women. Well, how the fuck is this first appointment was a woman, right? So then it's funny to explain that. Well, she's not really a woman. She doesn't really value. To make it make sense, you have to continue to spin this story of what you think what women are, which is fascinating. So going back to the question, I just stay curious. If that's true, then why this? And if there's a lot of derangement, they'll have a story. It'll probably sound batshit crazy to somebody who's conscious and logical, but they'll have a story of why it makes sense. Because how we see something is more important to us than truth.
yeah.
That how you see something, ends up being more important than the truth.
Yeah, and it seems to be a little bit more lopsided. However, I have noticed that conservatives also are bad at this. You know, they'll take a screenshot of something and they'll put more into it than what was really there. So it's a good reminder that all of us need to be honest when we're having discussions in public and amongst ourselves, and whether or not we're giving people the true benefit that they deserve. Now, if they're dirty like Mitch McConnell, I'm not giving him any passes. If they're dirty like some of our local politicians, I'm not giving them a pass. But you know, it's even like this salute that Elon Musk did, you know, that they're all claiming was what's a Nazi salute.
Yeah.
I have a picture from me on the campaign trail at the parade waving, and somebody caught it as I was, you know, waving. They caught it just right here. Yeah. And then it's like, here he is.
I saw that. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. And then there's some like Dave Riley, you know, the one that's caused so much controversy in the local GOP, and you can't tell whether or not he's a Fed or not because he plays both sides of the fence. Today he was kind of wanting to indicate or insinuate based on a post that I commented on that, you know, he thought it was odd that I was photographed with a lady that was locally here in Kootenai County when I was running for sheriff that was of the Jewish descent. I think she was an Israeli before she became an American, but she was a supporter of mine. And I think it's funny, Dave, the insinuations that you are making. Not certain, though, exactly what's going on, if maybe you're getting some payouts by some Homeland Security guys or the FBI. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just being a dick to be a dick. But anyway, that wasn't cool.
He might have that issue. But like you said, this isn't just a Democrat problem. It's an everybody problem, that you're so stuck on what you think you already know that you cannot hear the truth. Mm-hmm. And so that leads into something that became a topic of discussion on social media today that affected me. We're going to listen to this together. Not this crap again. This is why I left in the first place. That comment was put on a post that I made regarding this Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. I put that post in a local conservative political Facebook group. And then this comment was left on that post. So I thought, let me take a look and see who this gal is. Why does she not like Dan Wilson? Why did she leave this group in the first place? Why is she back? On her Facebook page, she posts this, November 5th, 2024. Trump is elected the 47th president of the United States. And she says, let the meltdown begin. I ask you this, why do you think Democrats have had and are having a meltdown over Donald Trump winning the election? Why do you think they're losing their minds as he puts together his team and takes quick action? What is he doing for conservatives, for those of us who are sick and tired of being trapped in this fifth generation warfare when we don't even know who the enemy is, where it's coming from, what's happening? This is a war that's been destroying our country from the inside out, probably for decades. It's years of political corruption, years of career politicians who are in office padding their own bank accounts and their egos. As conservatives, we applaud together a leader coming from the outside, one who doesn't answer to any of them. A leader who cannot be bought or sold, meaning that they answer to you. Not an overreaching government or government officials, not world leaders, not powerful nonprofits or business tycoons, but to you. And as we watch Trump take action, we celebrate that together because it feels good that finally justice is being served. We are seeing where our tax dollars are going. It's a mess. Accountability seems so close. We can taste it. But then here we are, right here at home. And it's easier to ignore what's happening right in front of our faces. Our local officials, the power of the office of the sheriff, that most of us aren't aware how that can be misused. Our local judicial system, the Department of Health and Welfare, appointed committees that can decide your fate, and you won't even care or think about it until the injustice happens to you. A corrupt sheriff's department, corruption in a county commissioner, if it doesn't matter to you, what that tells me is that you're benefiting from the corruption in some way. Either personally or indirectly you benefit. So yeah, here we go again with this crap, because if you haven't seen the dark cloud of corruption yet, who's here in Kootenai County and why they're here and what their agenda is, and it's not for your best interest. You're going to see it eventually. There just happen to be some of us who would rather not wait until it's too late to do something about it. So that's why I'm here with Dan and the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast, and we're going to keep doing this every Wednesday for Kootenai County, every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So then she says, if it gets too much, I'll have to leave again. Ladies supporting Dan Wilson were not what I would call ladies, not what I want to call friends. We'll see how it goes.
Well, who does she hang out with then?
I don't know.
Does she hang out with those crazy ladies that were yelling and screaming on the corner?
Might be in that crowd. Yeah. Kind of seems like she might be in that crowd. Yeah.
Speaking of crazy people, those that feign that they're conservatives but really aren't. Mm-hmm. You know, we had an interesting video that we watched last night by our friend Mike Marquardt from the Patriot Hangout right here in Kootenai County.
That was.
Yeah. We don't by chance have that available, do we?
Oh, I could probably show part of it if you want to keep leading in. I'll see if I can.
And so Mike had an interesting experience. We're going to show you where to go to listen to the story of what he currently has. He's waiting for information that he has requested from Coeur d'Alene Police and the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, but local alternative media guru Mike Petum, who's part of the North Idaho News. What is it? Idaho News?
North Idaho News.
And North Idaho News. You know, those Johnny on the spot guys. The guy that followed Bob Norris everywhere. We have photograph after photograph of him being his bouncer, being Bob's bouncer all summer long. And at one point, even claiming in writing that he wrote press releases for the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, although they deny that. Well, Mike...
he shares them.
Yeah.
He shares the press releases, yeah.
Mike...
He's their positive PR.
Petum, because there's Mike Marquardt and Mike Petum. Well, Mike Petum, he fibbed not too long ago. He called the Coeur d'Alene Police and claimed that Mike Marquardt attempted to assault him with a vehicle in a parking lot at Nosworthy's, which in Coeur d'Alene off of Government Way is the hangout for Bob Norris, the sheriff. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if you've got that or not, but
I've got some of the video here.
We're going to just show you a little bit. I encourage you to go watch it. You're going to be shocked and maybe not shocked to find out what a goober Mike Petum is of North Idaho News and his false police report that he filed against Mike Marquardt, all because Mike supported me during the sheriff's race. So you will not want to miss it. I understand he's going to have a full-length podcast as soon as he gets the requested body cam footage.
Cycle.
Yeah, he's waiting for additional phone calls, communications, body cam footage to tell the more complete story. Here's part of what Mike is exposing.
Fake conservatives. A lot of people that are either being paid.
Does he show the crazy people?
I don't know. Do you remember the timestamp on the crazy people?
I'll give you an example.
Let's see if I can find it.
In the first
joke. Yeah, that is what I said. You're a liar. You are a liar. Yeah. Go back to California where you belong.
There's Mike Petum in the red Grimace style hooded sweatshirt.
The lot of you, you're corrupt. Corrupt.
We have Shelley Kroll in that. We have Stephanie Fetzer.
So I answered them back, told them that they were corrupt.
Mike Petum. Those were Bob's go-to hatchet people during the campaign. So, yeah, you're not going to want to miss that. Go to Rumble, the Patriot Hangout.
And in fact, Mike's actually put the link to the video on his Rumble channel in the chat section here for us on Facebook. So thank you for doing that.
And if you need a flag or some other patriotic supply, including Mantis X platforms, go down to Mike and see him. Tell him that we sent you there. Yeah. I think it's time for a commercial. You're not paying attention to the notes.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just I didn't have it queued up.
What?
Because
I
ran out of room.
Well, we're on wireless out here. We're on not hardwired internet, and so
I think
sometimes before we get ready to go live, we get some problems with our wireless and have to reboot, and it causes a chain.
Light up that cigar. Stella's Stogies is your one-stop shop for all things cigars. Located on historic Main Street in Spirit Lake, Stella's Stogies believes that they're...
Thank our sponsor.
It's time to light...
of Liberty Without Compromise. Thank them. And here's some audio for you.
It's time to light up that cigar. Stella's Stogies is your one-stop shop for all things cigars. Located on historic Main Street in Spirit Lake, Stella's Stogies believes that there's nothing quite like enjoying a good cigar with friends. That's why they're there to help you pick the perfect cigar. Stella's has a great selection of cigars, cigar accessories, and information about cigars, making it easy for you to find just what you're looking for. Owners Brad and Lisa are passionate about cigars and are committed to providing you with the best possible cigar shopping experience. They believe that a good cigar is a great way to relax and socialize, and they're excited to share their love of cigars with you. Stella's also does pop-up shops for events, so be sure to ask them about that. Mention that you heard about Stella's Stogies on the Liberty Without Compromise live stream and get 10% off your purchase. Learn more at stellasstogies.com.
I got to put a plug in for Stella's. I went up there and I bought one of their Stallones. Now, it looks like to me it's spelled Stallone, but Brad told me it's pronounced Stallone.
Oh.
So I probably don't have my glasses on.
Yourself
but
right
this
there,
is
boy.
the Warhouse. It is a Toro. So it's an outstanding smoke. Go on up there, try one out. I'm certain you'll like it. Also, they have the Foundation Olmec cigars. My current favorite cigar of all time, at least in 2025. The year is still young. But yeah, go up there in Spirit Lake off Main Street, talk to Brad and Lisa and tell them that Liberty Without Compromise sent you to get some sticks to burn.
We have a question from something we were talking about just a little bit ago from Lucas. He wanted to know if anybody knows what the amount Idaho schools are paid per student. And if you homeschool, that money should go to the parents that homeschool.
Mm-hmm. Well, the argument is,
I'm not sure
that,
what it is per student. I mean, it was 20 years ago in Portland area, the public schools were making $10,000 annually per student. That was 20 years ago.
I would assume with some of the recent legislation, I should know this, that the idea was being floated to give up to $9,500, as I recall, in credit to homeschooling families and people that are putting their kids into alternative schools. So I would assume that maybe it's around $9,500. But yeah, there's this mandate by the Idaho State Constitution, as I recall, that requires Idaho to fund its schools. And it wouldn't be a big deal if they were actually doing the job and not teaching Marxism and wasting our money. I mean, can you imagine what it would look like if they audited schools to find out how inefficient they're running
have
those?
A lot of really angry people.
Yeah. All right. Well, last August, we put out a video on LPRs and the surveillance state regarding right here in Kootenai County, but it really is applicable to wherever you live across the country in the United States. And in this video, we, divulged some information that Bob Norris had been saying and his administration about these LPRs. We showed a couple facts. Well, we're 4 or 5 months after this town hall where they were pushing to get funding for these license plate readers for approximately 40 vehicles. I mean, the number keeps going up and down. I don't even know what the true number is. But we have been watching this closely, and a lot came down right before Christmas and right before the new administration in the BOCC took over, which is Mark Eberline, former county commissioner, great friend to citizens in Kootenai County and a reasonable man. But holds law enforcement and others accountable because that's what, our elected leaders are supposed to do. But, that DC agent, Matari, Special Deputy Bruce Matari, colluding with his sheriff, Bob Norris, because he has a special deputization, they ramrodded the funding for these license plate recognition readers, LPRs, whatever they're calling them, ALPRs, off these cars and the software. And they ramrodded it through before Mark could get on board and put a fresh look. And of course, Bill Brooks was a lame duck. He was on his way out and he accommodated Bruce Matari and they got this funded. But we're going to go back and revisit this topic in just a second. Before that, we're going to talk about one other thing that Bob Norris has, been not quite truthful about, and that is what's his view on immigration, illegal invasion. And I'm going to show a video here in just a second. We'll go to slide 3 to prep our producer / drop dead gorgeous co-host. A week ago, I came on this very show and I questioned what Bob Norris was doing about immigration since Trump had come into office and he's moving pretty quick. Do we have that video that you might be able to play for me?
Oh, okay.
It's going to be video number 1.
Okay. All right.
Idaho House Bill
Nope,
688 was in.
It's not video 1. Do you have video 1 or do I get it?
It was labeled video 1.
Really?
So, yeah, really. Do you know? Yeah.
Well, it was the Liberty Without Compromise broadcast where I was discussing last week, what is Bob doing? Yeah, right after, there we go, the inauguration that our very own sheriff, Robert Bob Norris, who has a plan for everything, I think. What kind of statement has he made?
In case you didn't sense the sarcasm.
There's no statements that have been made. There's no statement saying that he is going to join.
Absolutely, 100%.
With Tom Hammond and the border czar in helping deport all these criminals from out of our area.
Well, one of the things you just brought up a very...
All right, so that was last week. And a few days later, 2 days to be exact, after I was questioning why Bob had been so quiet about the whole, I'm going to join, the Trump administration and immediately help deport all these invaders out of our country. Bob had an interview with Creme 2 News, and if I queued that video up correctly, we'll go ahead and play that. This 2 days
Donald
later.
Trump stepping up efforts to enforce his strict deportation agenda. This week, he signed the Laken-Riley Act. It increased the list of charges for which people in the U.S. illegally can be detained and deported for. Now, the Kootenai County Sheriff says that they are ready to help Border Patrol hold migrants for deportation, and the county has already experienced a spike in Border Patrol holds since Trump took office. He also told Creme 2 News today that people in the country illegally should be concerned. Take a listen.
If you're here in this country legally, I don't think you have anything to worry about. But if you're in this country illegally, then I think you should probably sleep with one eye open.
Sheriff Norris says that a majority of these holds are from states like Washington. He says it's because the Washington legislature passed the Keep Washington Working Act back in 2019 that restricts what local law enforcement agencies can do in terms of enforcing federal immigration laws. So often people who are arrested are instead sent to Kootenai County, and he says they are ready to take them in.
If somebody is here illegally and has a criminal past, a criminal record, or somebody who may be here legally and is committing a crime, those are the priorities to remove those people from our country.
Was he wearing a Make America Great Again hat?
Yeah. I never seen him wear one of those.
No.
I have never seen him wear a MAGA hat.
He's not looking too good, by the way.
Yeah.
Too much drinking?
Looks like he's suffering a little bit.
And maybe it's the heart condition. Maybe it's the pending lawsuit.
He's got a lot.
Defamation.
He's got a lot of weight on his shoulders.
Or maybe he's worried now that Noam's the head of DHS that he's going to have a special little visit.
He might not have thought Trump was going to win.
Yeah. So I sent a records request last Wednesday when I made that first video. Of course, 2 days later, magically, the Coeur d'Alene Press and Creme 2 News, later on yesterday, KHQ, decided to contact the sheriff and find out what his views and stances were on this illegal immigration deportation process. And page 2 of
you can
slide
have
3.
predictive behavior.
My, well, I don't know what is happening tonight.
New studio, new setup.
There's just too many things.
So I sent a request in last week, and I asked prior to or since President Trump took office on January 20th of 25, and through today's date of 1/29/25, please provide the following information regarding illegal alien immigration, apprehension, deportation, detainment by KCSO, and or coordination with DHS, CBP, ICE, etc. And I asked, is there any communications from the sheriff, undersheriff, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, or Lisa Roberts, which is Bob Norris's, personal assistant, on any direction given to the chain of command via verbal memos, emails, or meeting notes from watch commander meetings? Number 2, has there been any changes in policy, written or unwritten, on how KCSO or will not participate in illegal immigrant capture and deportation to the KCSO deputies? If so, please provide all sources, memos, policies, additions, changes, written and unwritten. Number 3, has there been any changes to how KCSO interacts, coordinates with U.S. Customs, Border Protection Patrol, or ICE? If so, please provide all sources, memos, policy, additions, changes, written and underwritten. And lastly, will KCSO allow any federal agents, CBP, ICE, or other to ride in KCSO vehicles in the pursuit, capture, detention, deportation of any foreign national illegal aliens? If so, please provide all sources, memos, policies, addition, changes, written and unwritten. And why do we have to get this detailed? Because the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office has a knack. If you don't ask exactly precise questions, they're not going to give you the answers, even though they understand the intent of the question. It should have just been, hey, what have you guys been doing when it comes to illegal immigration? So I received a response in the very first page of that attachment that was sent today.
So your page one?
Yeah, my page one.
All right.
In essence, they said that number 2 and 4 do not exist, which is they haven't changed any policies or made any policies, haven't sent out any memos to anybody, and they don't have any records regarding if they're going to allow or not allow federal agents in Kootenai County Sheriff's vehicles. That last one, my friends in Kootenai County, you need to be paying close attention to. With Bob Norris, you got to pay attention to the things that he says or the things that he does not say, more specifically, because he doesn't want to be incriminated. Now, what they did send me, and this is also on the heels of my request to find out, Senator Brian Lenny from Idaho responded to a tweet that was put out by Ruby a couple days ago. And Ruby said, she was hoping that all sheriffs were going to be required legislatively to join the ICE 287G program right here in Idaho. And Brian Lenny said, well, I think Bob Norris already committed to doing that, didn't he? So I put the question out officially to the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. And what they gave me was the same document for both my records request on immigration and specifically the ICE 287. We're going to go to page 3. And what we're looking at right here is, in essence, a service agreement for the United States Marshal Service. This is standard. All sheriff's offices that I know of in the country participate in this. And this is, in essence, that they will hold federal prisoners for the marshals and transport them when necessary. So the conclusion is Bob Norris has done nothing proactive to be a part of any kind of deportation of illegals here in the county. However, he was bragging, as we saw in Crime 2 News,
right,
that he's holding inmates for Border Patrol because, they're coming from Washington. Well, I'm kind of curious why we're taking them from Washington, and Washington's a sanctuary state that refuses to allow Border Patrol to do what it needs to do. Why are we then taking them from that state over to our state when we're already short on our beds, right? We heard all year long that he's, 50.
They're staying at the Kootenai County bed and breakfast, $126 a night.
So the reality, folks, is that Bob Norris has not done anything to be proactive or current to help address, because he doesn't believe it's an issue. Or his Department of Homeland Security overlords that were in power right before Trump took over, maybe they were setting him up for something else, and now he has to play it off, right? Mm-hmm. He has to deny that there's an issue. It's kind of an issue because he's taking them in, but it's not really an issue. So Senator Lenny and Rogue Lou and Ruby and others, after that X Space Live where Bob Norris committed to being a part of ICE 287G.
I think he said absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely, 100%.
And he said he was going to encourage all of the other sheriffs, all the other 43 sheriffs in this county or in the state to do the same thing.
Right.
We know through records request
he's leading.
That a couple days later they were requesting from the Seattle branch, Seattle Division of Homeland Security, how to become part of the ICE 287G. Right. But either they were obstructing and refusing to give me lawful information, or they are doing just exactly what I told you they've been doing from day one. The Bob Norris administration, which is always reactive, never proactive, action beats reaction every single time, and Bob is always behind the curve. So to be continued. We'll be discussing this quite a bit more. It does get tiring having to constantly play cleanup behind this guy. Mm-hmm. I can't believe so many people were duped during the campaign to trust everything that came out of his mouth without so much as a single question. Why? Why are you saying what you're saying, and what do you have to back it up? Well, when Bob Norris decided that his administration was going to bring license plate reader technology to Kootenai County, they did it on the sly. They outfitted just shy of 40 new patrol vehicles that they had built out by a company in Utah that takes their patrol cars and then wires them up and puts the cages and all the other equipment in them. And they had already received money for these LPR Motorola cameras. And then a short time later, this year, they requested in their budget about $103,000, give or take, for 5-year contract, allowing them to use the software that the LPRs use as they're scanning license plates in order to be able to use this technology. And so it came to my attention midsummer. I started looking into it. And of course, I do what I always do, which is get to the source. And I put in an official records request to the county. And my records request, which was sent in on the 1st of August, asked them, do you have any kind of current policies or procedures or, training, etc., for the usage of the LPRs? And what I was informed of by Lieutenant Headland is that they do not currently have, and this was back in August, while they were using these LPRs in demo mode, they were using it in demo mode and they did not have any current LPR policies, and that deputies should refer to the NCIC ILETs for license plate information obtained from the LPRs. Okay, well, that's interesting. As we go down to slide number, I guess it'd be my number's not even working on mine tonight, so I guess that's 2 of us, but it's the email. I further have asked and requested since that time, are they currently under contract with Motorola? It was approved by the Board of County Commissioners back in December, but did they have any kind of a contract or agreement with Motorola Solutions while they were in demo mode from March of 2024 all the way through whenever they suspended it in the fall of 2024? And I was not provided any contract or agreement. They did not exist. So we know that there was nothing at that time that was prohibiting Motorola Solutions from using whatever data that they were grabbing from, the cameras at that time. Now, we have a couple of videos that we're going to try to work our way through. If I labeled them correctly, I want you to see my letter that I had written and submitted to Chair Duncan at the Board of County Commissioners fiscal year 25 budget meeting, specifically regarding these license plate readers and my objections to them. We're going to play a small portion of that. Now, this entire topic, we're going to have a dedicated, updated show where we're going to play Bob Norris in his own words, and I'm going to rebut it side by side with the evidence proving that he's not telling the truth. So tonight we're going to do more of a flyby, and hopefully these videos will lay out correctly. Due to my own mistake, I probably didn't label them I should, but let's see.
What it is, number 3.
You can have predictive behavior of where that license plate is going to be. Mm-hmm. That also is false. Mm-hmm. That is 100% false.
Yeah, I've got all these videos out of line, so I'm going to probably work my way down my notes instead here.
About that.
That's what happens. One thing I don't like about Apple iPhones is you cannot take a video and just name it.
Well, you know
it's
what?
A big rigmarole.
You shouldn't have said that because you probably can, and we.
No, I actually looked it up.
Okay.
And it said that you have to the new versions, and if somebody else knows a hack, send it to me because I want to be efficient. But
what is the video that you are intending to play? That it's the Board of County Commissioners in your email.
Yep.
Is it the crew sitting at?
Yeah, on the side table, but it's actually the commissioner sitting at the front. Leslie getting ready to read.
I've got
my
two
snippet.
of those, unfortunately, that look very similar. We'll try this one.
When was that
Nope, that's not the one. It's the other one.
Okay.
would regulate the limit and limit. February of this year, Idaho House Bill 688 was introduced, which would regulate the limit and limit all data collected by LPRs in the state. Unfortunately, this bill died in committee, leaving the citizens of Idaho exposed to this unregulated data collection and invasion of privacy. Furthermore, per the attached public records request, Lieutenant Headland states there is no current KCSO policy on deputies using LPRs and only refers to NCIC and ILET's training and certification conducted by Idaho State Patrol. The citizens of Kootenai County deserve to know why KCSO would employ such hardware software without any current policies that have been reviewed by county attorneys, or even after Motorola has been demoing the software to KCSO for several months now.
Okay, so I was having my letter read into the record where I said, hey, I pointed out back in August at this budget meeting, Bob Norris had been running these license plate readers on patrol cars for months without a single policy. Not one. Anybody in business, and especially in the business of law enforcement, if I can say that without people coming unglued, law enforcement isn't business. You live by your policies. You don't open a car door without there being a policy. So it was extremely reckless of the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, number one, to be using the technology without any kind of data or retention policies or privacy or security. There was nothing. Not a thing. Your great administrative sheriff, who brags about his years running large divisions of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department in cities comparable to the size and the population of Kootenai County, doesn't even understand the risk of using technology, the first of its kind here locally. What they want to say is that they've been using this for the last 16 years. They've been using stationary cameras near the interstate, not license plate readers that are on patrol cars times 40. They're running 24/7 all over the county. So I pointed this out. We should not be using this technology without policies. And we can see from Lieutenant Headland's response to me that, well, all they have to do is use ILETs and NCIC, rules, which is another step that they would have to take in order to pull who the registered owners are of the vehicles of the plates that they ran. So as soon, and I find this curious, so I sent that letter to Chair Duncan late afternoon, and Bob Norris came to that meeting. I'm not suggesting that the Chair Duncan gave this to him, but somehow Bob Norris came ready to give a rebuttal to why the LPR were needed right here in Kootenai County.
He had a whole binder.
He had a 3-ring binder.
You want to share this one?
We're going to share this one.
Now is now good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Percolate here in Kootenai County. It's not quality of life that we see quite yet. However, it's going in that direction. I'm seeking a tool set that not only can help us fight crime, but effectively, with the limited resources we have, also put the safeguards in place to ensure the officer safety and your public privacy.
Officer safety.
Those safeguards shall be public record. We should have frequent audits where we discuss this information in front of the commissioners when we ask for these requests, and that we should be doing this every year to ensure compliance with the policy that I'm going to set forward with you today. All I'm asking for is the tool sets to get the bad guy. But I want to focus on making sure that these tool sets can't be abused.
I know.
Frankly, there are some people that are running.
No, keep playing. You're cutting the best part off.
For sheriff, that I would be very concerned about having access to these tool sets. Very concerned. They have no demonstrated history of ever properly handling these type of protocols and programs. That's something that's very important. So these things need to be in place. That's why I'm going to do it. There is currently no statute in Idaho governing the retention of this data. So here's my recommendation.
Okay. So you can see my letters read into the record minutes earlier stating no policies. You should have them. It's important for the safety and security of the individuals here in Kootenai County to have these things. And he immediately says, we don't have these things yet, but you know what? I need these tools in the toolbox for officer safety. And I'm going to make certain that we put policies and procedures in place so that, you know, the data isn't abused. The data that apparently doesn't really mean anything, depending on what day you're asking him.
Yeah.
But if we go to slide number 4, I don't know if you can see that, page number 4, slide number 2, rather, where it says Washington State Patrol. I want to point something out. Bob Norris was, he was digging on me, saying there is a certain sheriff candidate that has never proven that he can handle that kind of information. He even admits it's important information. Well, just for Bob Norris and all of you sycophants out there who are watching, and I know you are, I want to show you my certification from March 3rd of 2023 when I was still an active police officer with the Liberty Lake Police Department in Liberty Lake, Washington. That is a genuine Washington State Patrol CJIS system agency certification saying that I had successfully fulfilled a requirement for my Access One recertification. So, Bob Norris, you bloviating fool. Yeah. Not only was I trained and certified for handling sensitive law enforcement information, but apparently I'm way smarter than you, because even I understood before you started using this technology that does need retention policy plans and procedures and safe handling and security. You didn't know to even begin thinking about it until I said something about the need. Now, if we go to the next slide, I want to show you guys something. I another records request. I know that the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office Records Division hates me. I send them lots of records requests.
Yeah, you're probably not their favorite.
But I got to do it because I can't get straight answers otherwise. And I asked for the LPR policy, the original file for when this document was created, who the author was, etc. And I want you to note a couple things down here that I was able to ascertain. Number one, when was this document, the policy, when was it created? Well, I'm glad you asked. It was created on August 29th, 2024 at 9:53 a.m., which was less than 16 hours after that Board of County Commissioner meeting where I was bringing up the question about the policies, and they knew it. And the modifying author of that was Brent Nelson, the undersheriff. So, yeah, lots of fun information there. So, you know, they bloviated for the rest of the summer. The election came and went. They kind of blew the people off, Bruce Matari and Bob together. And then Bob decided that he was going to have a town hall right before Christmas.
And when you say right before
December 17th, he decided to have a town hall. Now, in all fairness, Leslie Duncan had her own town hall a short time before that, where she allowed citizens to come in and voice their concerns about the LPRs. She's a representative, and she gave people the floor and allowed them to speak, and she had a couple other special guests there. That pissed off Bob Norris. We're going to hear about that in our longer version, because you get to hear him and Bruce Matari bullying a female county commissioner. But Bob has his own special infomercial, like he always does, where Bruce is always there emceeing his events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what Bob does is, you know, he puts this big old slide. He loves talking about all the misinformation. And most people automatically look at what he says without the receipts, and they go, oh, well, if the sheriff says that that's true, then it must be true. Or if the sheriff says it's not true, then it's not true.
Right.
I don't know if you have that video where Norris is talking about his policies. Let's take a look at that.
You can have predictive behavior of where that license plate is going to be. That also is false. That is 100% false. We don't let other agencies that...
Okay. So he goes on in this. There's too many clips there for this show to go over one by one. So I've put a slide together showing the main points that he was trying to say are misinformation. It is page number 6, I believe, of the master slide, if you have it up there. So he says predictive vehicle location is false. Okay, I want you guys to bookmark that because we're going to talk about this in a second. He also says KCSO does not have video surveillance cameras on traffic lights. Okay, who does then? Because we have seen the cameras up. The cameras are up at intersections. I don't know who owns those. I think Stop Smart Cities Idaho probably has a pretty good idea of that. The federal government will not have access to the KCSO LPR data. Okay, remember that he said that. And then here is a gem. Bob Norris, dude, you make me laugh. He states, and he puts it in writing, Motorola LPR data has not been captured by hackers.
Oh.
This is what he says.
Okay.
Go to the next slide. We're going to hit these really fast. This is from Motorola's own disclosure. And one of the things that they say when you're using their system, the Motorola cameras and the Vigilant software, when a vehicle is identified, Vigilant Vehicle Manager provides its location, history, and can even predict where it might be in the future if officers need to contact the operator. What do you call that? Did I just see something above that said it doesn't predict vehicle locations?
Yeah. Who? Okay. Make it simple. Who said it doesn't predict vehicle?
Norris says that it does not. Motorola's own disclosure says that it does.
There you go.
In fact, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to go through all these slides. But eventually, the entire Motorola Vigilant software is designed to be able to use cameras all over the city, not only from government, those that are on the patrol cars, flock cameras, those are these LPRs that are stationary, but they also want to use other closed circuit TV feeds. They want to be able to partner with businesses and be able to use theirs. There's a town in Indiana that has done this. Norris has no idea what he's talking about, or he's a pathological liar when he says that this is not going to usher in any kind of smart city or surveillance state technology. The company that they are contracting with has this as their model. That is their end game. And even if they're only doing a portion of it right now, they are setting this up for what eventually may become the surveillance state in Kootenai County. And we're only one incident away, because even to listen to Nick Franson, the president of the FOP, that got up to speak before the county commissioners in August, it's that once in a lifetime. I need to know what's in front of me, because somebody with a gun that's a murder suspect may be in front of me, and I need to know that. Well, you could do, Nick, like we used to do on patrol for 12 years, which is if we find a hit on a vehicle, whether we suspect it from a hot list or whether we run a plate by accident or whatever else, the officer always dictates the time, the location, and how the traffic stop goes down. You're not just at the intersection of Kathleen and 95 and you have no other choice, but you get a hit on your LPR and right then and there, everything goes to hell. But they sell this crap all the time because, well, you know what? It's going to help us find a lost kid.
Yeah, I mean,
Amber Alert.
Yeah, it's the red herring tactic that we've talked about before, where they take something that is your legitimate concern and you say, look, I don't want the data collection. I don't want the predicting my behavior in the future. I don't want my information being sold. And instead of answering those questions, they redirect and start telling you, look, that this technology is being used in cities all across the states. You get former California cops coming up and presenting in the meetings saying, I'm surprised we don't already have this. Like
well,
you said,
even
Nick
more
Franzen.
egregious, you have a current detective that got up there to lecture us as to why, this is his job and he served his country. So, I mean, just because this deputy served his country, that automatically makes him an expert as to all things liberty minded.
Mm-hmm.
And Norris allows him to get up and to lecture us. Why are we even having this discussion? It's ridiculous. Scolding the constituents that are concerned about their liberty. Cops, there are cops out there. I don't know. Maybe this detective is one of them. Maybe not. Maybe just, was passionate, wasn't using his head. But there's a lot of cops that don't like the Fourth Amendment because it gets in the way of them doing their job. So as we scroll down, we're going to wrap things up pretty quick here. We're going to go down to slide number, I think it's 10. Couple articles that actually, let's go to 11. So a couple things that have transpired. Bob Norris says that the data can't ever be breached. Remember?
Right.
Remember that?
He doesn't even know how to use social media. So I don't trust his analysis there that the data can't ever be breached.
So Motorola releases a bulletin June 13th of 2024 talking about a backdoor into their license plate readers. It's able to be exploited. So they're giving a rundown on what the issue is and how it needs to be fixed. You go to the next slide. Security Week talks about the fact that Motorola vigilant license plate readers have several vulnerabilities, security holes, and they do allow an attacker to bypass authentication, gain access to sensitive information, deploy backdoors, and shut down cameras. We're going to go through this fast. We're going to go to the next slide. I love this next slide. I've watched this video. There is a kid on YouTube. His name's Matt Brown. The title of the video is Hacking a Motorola Automatic License Plate Reader, and he does it in real time.
Oh, okay. All
so, Norris, again, you incompetent buffoon. You probably should read a little bit on your own to figure out whether or not what you're saying is accurate or whether or not you're just pulling it out of your, you know what, because he's lecturing us, telling us these are, these are untruthful. And if you don't have a board behind you when you make a statement, then you can't be trusted.
A board of directors, yeah.
Gaslighting us.
Yep.
All right, so the next video that we're going to play is an interesting one. It's part of a longer video that took place a couple days after Norris had his town hall on the 17th. In fact, it happened 2 days right before Christmas when Bob Norris, along with Bruce Matari, are trying to strong-arm, even though there was no time constraint. Well, it was because if Mark Eberline came in, then maybe they weren't going to get this, budget item that they wanted for these LPRs.
That's what it seemed like, yeah.
But Leslie Duncan, we're going to play a video of her. Bob Norris has just finished excoriating her publicly and telling her basically what a POS she is. And, he's berating her with Bruce not even coming to her defense as a fellow county commissioner. Let's listen to what she has to say about policies. And then we're going to show a little more evidence as to why it's not exactly.
Your final policy posted on your website. What day?
It was before today. I can't exactly.
Yesterday, Saturday.
It was before today. I have to verify.
So were you purposely hiding something from me, knowing that the public records request was for a policy? Yes, I asked for a draft policy because I was not aware that you had adopted anything. So knowing that I'm asking for a policy, yes, it says the word draft. Was there a reason why you misled me for that to be your policy?
Nobody misled you. The Idaho Sheriff Association conference ended, I want to say on the 14th.
And I asked for this on the 16th, or I got it on the 16th.
On the 13th?
I received it on the 16th.
Okay, and you asked for this on the 13th. So at that time, that was the the current one. But like I said earlier, we wanted to have a more robust policy. And from input from sheriffs and attorneys down there in Boise, this is what I came up with.
Not from Kootenai County.
Also, in reference to your letter that license plates are subject to public records disclosure, what county discloses them? Because of the ones I spoke with, nobody releases license plate information from LPRs to anybody who requests it.
Has our county legal reviewed your policy?
Yes.
Okay. And have they weighed in on the fact of whether this, because over and over again, you and Commissioner Matari have said that this is not collecting any personal data. So the way the open record or the public records law reads, if it's not any personal data, then it is subject to public records request.
44 counties in Idaho, and the ones that have LPR, which ones are granting public records requests? You referenced it in your letter, so tell me which ones.
So
Tell me which ones.
I'm concerned about Kootenai County.
Okay.
There you
So
go.
I want to know
Our
if,
attorneys said that is not subject to public records request.
Interesting.
Did you consult an attorney before you wrote this letter? Did you consult one of our attorneys?
let's just say that I did bring it to someone's attention, but not in official capacity. So I did not ask them for a written review of it. I just said, I'm looking into this.
So license plates from license plate readers are not subject to public records request. You or an individual may request their own, but you can't request somebody else's.
Well, I would like our legal to weigh in on it officially. I have not seen that request for legal advice. And then I would also like to ask, well, hang on, I have a couple more here. Okay, so are you actually saying that you think that I should engage the public and not let them speak? That town hall that I held was for their opinions and their concerns. Yes, there was a lot of misinformation that the public had, and it has been cleared up.
Okay.
So, and that was another reason why you held your town hall, and that's fantastic. A lot of people were grateful for that information. So, again, I am not going to stop somebody and sit there and correct them for every little thing, especially when there's stuff I had to research myself. So not everything that was said did I readily.
What you have going on right now is you have two things. One is that Bob was not happy that Leslie had this town hall. He was offended that citizens, not experts, but citizens came up and they were talking about things from their perspective. And Bob wanted to know why Leslie Duncan was not doing a Bruce Matari and not letting people express themselves, you know, their First Amendment rights, but letting the people speak. And then later on, you can find facts out. That's what these town halls are for. Well, that didn't happen. And we know that Bob Norris from the past year, we have several instances of where he has gone after independents because he doesn't like what they have to say. He doesn't believe in free speech. But Leslie Duncan was bringing up a great point. She said, hey, before we voted on this, where's the policy that you have? The policy that we've been talking about tonight? Where is it? And he's like, well, you know, I just gave you the draft, but I have the real one. Well, when did you publish it? Was it yesterday, the day before? I don't know. I don't know.
It was before today.
Well,
I don't recall.
Here's what I want to point out. Through another records request, and we're going to go to the next slide, similar to the properties that we saw in the first policy attempt that they made. And we know that they had to go to Motorola or somebody else to write this because they didn't understand this in the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office. They didn't write this. I've gone through the entire policy, which is now on the Kootenai County Sheriff's website under the jail division on LPRs. We're going to dive into that a lot deeper here in our long broadcast, but I want to point out, so Bob Norris is claiming that, you know, he had this policy out beforehand, and I'm going to submit to you that the evidence I have That town hall that she was just talking about was on the 23rd. And the date for this file that they used to put on the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office website is December 22nd. So 24 hours before this meeting. The bottom line is that Bob Norris knew what Leslie Duncan wanted and why she wanted it. And it was legitimate. She wanted to have time to review the policies and, more importantly, to have the county's legal team go over it to ensure that everything was correct and that the county's not at risk. You know, Bob, kind of like the helicopter that's not properly insured. You know, these things that you continually, as a expert administrator, fail to ensure that the citizens of this county are protected from. Leslie was doing that. And then, of course, Matari jumped on because he's Special Deputy Matari, working on behalf of the sheriff rather than the county commissioner. And it's very obvious at this town hall. I think that we might have caught Norris in a perjury trap there. Caught him in a lie. So I'm not going to go through the rest of these slides. They were merely just to point out on the official website policy things like, you know, Bob said that we can't get hacked, but yet there's a policy for what to do when there's a breach of data. At the end of the day, folks, you should be very, very concerned once again, because you have a sheriff who is the chief law enforcement officer of the county, the one that's supposed to interpose himself between a out of control, unaccountable federal and or state government and the people here in Kootenai County. And he's lying continually. He has lied ever since we first started talking about this topic back in August. And he's still doing it today. And he attacks anybody that dares to question him or ask him to produce the evidence. What he does is he just claims that something is true or is not true. He comes up with ideas as if they were his own. He steals them from others. He robs them. This is the guy that you have elected again to be your wall of separation against all tyranny and the people. We're going to show you a very long format video where I'm going to comment side by side and produce the evidence for every time I see Bob telling something that's not true, and or Bruce Matari, DC Matari. We'll cut this here in a couple days, and then we will release it at a separate time so that people can divvy it up, because it's going to be long. But I want people to remember, as we always talk about liberty without compromise, sometimes we talk more about national, sometimes we talk about lighter things. This is somewhat a heavier topic because it matters. The surveillance state matters. Folks think that just because Trump is here right now that everything is saved and that we're going to be able to go back to a life that we all remember as kids. And that's just simply not the case. And you have to watch even Trump. My friends that really, really are all in on Trump, you have to watch him every bit as much. Is he doing a lot of great things and fantastic things right now? Yeah. But you, as a American, as a citizen, as sons and daughters of liberty, you have to remain vigilant at all times. This reminds me of a quote, our quote of the day by our founders. This one comes from John Jay. He was the first Supreme Court Chief Justice. He says, "The wise and the good never form the majority of any large society, and it seldom happens that their measures are uniformly adopted. All that wise and good men can do is to persevere in doing their duty to their country and leave the consequences to him who made men only, neither elated by success, however great, nor discouraged by disappointments, however frequent or mortifying." What are you going to do wherever you live to make certain that liberty is preserved? Remember, we did not descend from fearful men. We descended from men who did the right thing at sometimes times that were not too convenient. They dedicated fortunes, their lives, their sacred honor. They were thoughtful men. They dug deep to find truth, and despite whether or not it was popular, They weren't afraid to hold anybody and everybody accountable and let God sort them out and their motives in the meantime. So I challenge you to be strong and of good courage, and to do the right thing. Remember to pray for your country, pray for your enemies. Remember our buddy Ron, who is still going through his health struggles. Look forward to seeing you next week right here at same time, same place.
Thank you for joining us for the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. If you're listening back on our podcast or a video replay, remember you can catch us live on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or X. Learn more and purchase apparel at libertywithoutcompromise.com. And for our podcast, listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Shall we go smoke a cigar?
We shall.
I think I'm going to smoke this Stallone
Thanks, Lisa.
with our big tabletop lighter.
Oh, yeah.
The new lighter.
The nice one.
Good night, everyone.